concluded his answer. The member for Herbert.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Will the Treasurer outline to the House how the Morrison government's tax cuts will secure Australia's economic future by providing comprehensive tax relief to families and small businesses in my electorate of Herbert? Is the Treasurer aware of any alternate policies?
The Treasurer has the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the member for Herbert for his question. He has served with great distinction on the battlefield on behalf of our country, and he brings those qualities to the parliament. I had the great pleasure to join the member for Herbert in his electorate last week, meeting with farmers, graziers, small business owners. Some of the 70,549 taxpayers in the electorate of Herbert that will get a tax cut as a result of the Coalition's legislation that passed this parliament, Mr Speaker. And 13,265 small businesses will be able to access the instant asset write-off, which was extended in the budget to $30,000 and for companies with a turnover of up to $50 million, Mr Speaker. And I can inform the House that as of today, 3.2 million Australians have lodged their tax return for the 18-19 year. That's nearly a 25% increase on the same period last year. And the tax office has seen over $3 billion in refunds make its way to Australian taxpayers' pockets, money to be spent at local businesses supporting Australian jobs, Mr Speaker. And the changes we have made to the tax system are substantial. What we have done is we have increased the thresholds. For the 19-cent rate, we've increased the threshold from $37,000 to $45,000. And we have lowered the rate. We have lowered the rate, the 32.5-cent rate, down to 30 cents, Mr Speaker. And we have abolished a bracket. A whole tax bracket, the 37 cents in the dollar bracket, has been abolished. So from between $45,000 and $200,000, you will pay a marginal rate of tax of no more than 30 cents in the dollar. That is tackling bracket creep, Mr Speaker. So if you're on average full-time earnings, you can get a promotion, you can get a wage increase, but you won't get a higher marginal rate of tax, Mr Speaker. Now, we passed that legislation against the Labor Party's wishes, Mr Speaker, against the Labor Party's wishes, because they were not in favour of tax cuts. Now, would you believe, last night in this chamber at about 9 o'clock, the Leader of the Opposition amazingly said the following. He said, "You've got some tax cuts through, but there's been no tax reform, Mr Speaker. No tax reform." Well, we've abolished a whole bracket, Mr Speaker. Earth to elbow, Mr Speaker. We've abolished a whole bracket.
The Treasurer will refer to members by
to the Leader of the Opposition, Mr Speaker. We've abolished a whole tax bracket. But what the Leader of the Opposition has confirmed is that his understanding, the Labor Party's understanding of tax reform, is $387 billion of higher taxes. Only the Coalition can be trusted to lower the Australian people's taxes.